What's going on, y'all? It's the kid FortWorthFabian, BigBossFabo. I'm back with the reaction video for you guys, man. Today, as you can see by the title, man, Invincible. Invincible, the Prime Video TV series, just completed the first season with season 8. See, episode 8, excuse me, episode 8. Bro, let me give y'all a background and a whole dive through on what my whole Invincible TV series experience has been like, man. So obviously Invincible dropped on Prime Video a while ago. I'm not sure how long ago, a couple of months. It's been a minute. But when I first saw it arrive on Prime through my Fire Stick, you know, it's plastered as like the top header. I check it out an episode or so. It was kind of slow building to me. You know me, if you're not really a superhero that's Marvel or DC, and that's the detail I don't know about it. A lot of people may dislike this video because I did read somewhere there is actually comic book ties to the actual show. I don't know the history of it, so forgive me there. But if you're not you know, really like DC Marvel, I ain't rocking with you like that. So the whole essence of creating superheroes and then like putting them on, I guess, in a world and creating a story behind it, it's going to take some time for me to kind of build up to completely diving into that. So I put it on pause for a little bit. And it's funny, I had a conversation with my big brother like not too long ago. He told me to check out Invincible. And when he mentioned it to me, he was like, man, check out this animation called Invincible. It's pretty gory. It's pretty graphic. I didn't think anything of it. You know, I'm just like, all right, Invincible. But not knowing I'd seen the first episode already. So I'm searching. He called it The Invincible. It's called Invincible, bro. It's not called The Invincible. But he said The Invincible. So I'm looking for The Invincible. The Invincible. Nothing comes up. I just put in Invincible, and then the header or the graphic for it pops up, and I'm like, there's no way he's talking about this because I've been watched it. I watched the first episode. He's like, it's graphic, man, it's gory, and I'm just like, nah. In my mind, I'm thinking like Samurai Champloo. Like, if y'all know real anime, y'all know the real gory stuff, man. Samurai Champloo is super gory. What else is gory, man? There's a lot of stuff. Then I came Inuyasha. You can throw Inuyasha up there. Rurouni Kenshin, stuff like that. That's old school anime. A lot of the new kids won't know about that. So I'm thinking that, and I see it, and I'm like, no way, it's this that he's talking about. So, but anyways, I start watching it, and yes, bro, like I was taken aback by how gory, how bloody the show is, like, and it doesn't really reveal that to you until like the third or fourth episode. In the beginning, it's all cookie cutter, like, oh, strong punches and stuff like that. You don't have no idea that it's gonna really take a different or a drastic turn. But essentially, what we have today is a review from. Heavy spoilers, so if you haven't seen episode 8 from this first season of Invincible, do not watch this reaction. This is heavy spoilers breaking down the ending, and this is kind of interesting for me, right? Because people have been watching this show as the new episodes have been dropping, so they kind of been carried throughout the show. Me, no, I have not been watching. Like, I literally did not know this was the last episode. I saw it yesterday because I started watching it Wednesday or Thursday and binged through all the episodes. Come to find out, the last episode I watched yesterday was actually episode 8 aired the day that I consumed the last episode, if that makes any sense. So like without me even knowing the release timeline for Invincible, I started watching it, and I was able to watch it completely through as the last episode dropped on Prime, and I didn't even know it did. It's crazy when you think about it. But yeah, man, and with that, it was interesting. It's definitely an experience because I had no association with the show. You guys, the real viewers, have probably been watching it thoroughly through as each episode comes out. Nah, man, me, I just watched it all together. But let's get into this reaction, man. Too much talking that I'm kind of doing right now, but I got to give y'all a background on how I basically like watched this series. The series was just straight through, and I just binge watched it. But let's get into this breakdown, man. I'm gonna let this guy talk because I don't really know the whole ins and outs of the story, to be completely honest with you. That's why this is pretty interesting to me, knowing that this show wrapped up pretty much yesterday. And it's the talk on the internet, man. This topic is trending. If you don't know, this show is trending. It's trending on Google search, Invincible. Check it out. But yeah, let's get into this reaction, man. See what they got to say about it.
Okay, so the season 1 finale of Invincible is finally here, and episode 8 has a lot to unpack from it. The ending also teases what's coming down the line, and in this video we're going to be breaking down the Easter eggs, comic book comparisons, and things that you might have missed. Full spoilers ahead from this point onwards, so if you haven't had a chance to check it out, then you best make like Omni-Man and get the hell out of here. Sorry for the spoiler, yeah, but you clicked a channel called Heavy Spoilers, so it's your own bloody fault. Now with that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into our Invincible Episode 8 breakdown. Okay, so the episode itself is based heavily on issues 11, 12, and 13. The first two deal with the revelation of Omni-Man's true backstory, and the latter has the aftermath of it. There are other things...
See, I did not know there was already a comic about it, so that's something I'm completely lost on. You know what I mean?
Throughout from the run, which we will be talking about in this video, but we pick up immediately after Nolan saying that he and Mark need to talk. This was exactly the same way that issue 10 ended, and it segues beautifully into this entry. We start off with the Immortal's corpse on the floor, and I feel like the guy should just change his name at this point, because the lad's died twice. And Mark refuses to believe that his dad is a bad guy at first, and thinks that he might be being mind-controlled. Now it's at this point that Nolan reveals the truth about Viltrum. Originally, we were told it was a peaceful planet that had become a utopia. Nolan stated that he was part of the World Betterment Committee, which travelled through the universe helping planets that were on the verge of greatness. Members of the committee would descend to the planet, and here they would help the locals out, acting as heroes for the entire planet. However, this was all a lie. The truth is that Viltrum was a completely oppressive society. In the comics, we learn that, at one point during its development, the Council of Viltrum decided that the weak must be wiped out, and they forced the occupants to fight until the death, until only half the population was left.
So that boy was super capping. He comes from, the dad essentially comes from a planet called Viltrum. He capped and told everybody, like, his family, his friends, that he came from a planet that he was sent essentially to Earth to save and help them. This is super spoiler. If you haven't seen this, click off right now. And he basically lied, because in actuality, his people are like savage. They're ravenous. Like they destroy planets. They take over planets, and they eliminate the weak. So he was basically sent to Earth to destroy or take over the planet, essentially. Get rid of all the strongest people, you know what I mean? And like, he pretty much lives under a cover as a superhero. In actuality, he's trying to pretty much take over the planet or something like that.
They believed themselves to be the best people to rule the galaxy and decided to conquer it. The Viltrums traveled from planet to planet, either destroying or enslaving the population. These moments all feel like they're ripped right out of the comics, including a panel in which Nolan hovers above the battered bodies of some aliens. After they took over so many worlds, their numbers were stretched too thin, and thus they decided a new tactic. The Viltrumites would send in a Trojan horse, a protector who would pretend to look after the planet, all whilst weakening its defenses.
Dude's pretty much breaking down the whole story. Bruh. I mean, it is called Episode 8 Breakdown, but we don't need you to... Man, ads, bro.
This is why Omni-Man destroyed the Guardians, because they were Earth's best heroes.
Come on, man. Lost the video, y'all. Dang. But Buddy's pretty much narrating the whole story. Essentially, we know the story. No, we don't. Lost the video. Let me get it back up real quick. So I'm going to watch a bit of this and kind of detail some things he's talking about. But essentially, you know, the whole story of Invincible is just intriguing to me. It's just everything that's going on, you know, the gore in it, the realism used kind of really intrigued me, because honestly, when I watched the first episode, I wasn't that interested. But as you continue, I recommend the show. As you continue through it, it picks up steam.
During this time, Nolan met Debbie, and in the book and show, he refers to her as just being a pet. He doesn't really see her as an equal, and this is why he's been so callous towards her pretty much throughout the entire season. Now in the comics we learn that Nolan also met Cecil shortly after his arrival, and though Cease suspected that his origin story was a lie, he needed someone who could help Earth against the more malevolent forces that would come in. Now that Mark is slowly building his powers, Nolan believes that he will conquer the planet at his father's side. However, Mark refuses to do this, and its own. Interestingly, in the comics, namely issue 16, we actually come across a world in the multiverse in which the pair teamed up and took over their respective Earth. So there are definitely versions out there that would have done the opposite to what we see Mark doing, and I do kind of hope that we explore these darker timelines down the line.
Mark
now,
weak.
Cecil and the Guardians look on as...
I ain't gonna cap. Mark kind of weak, man. Buddy, I mean, I guess he's supposed to be 17. I get it. It takes him a long time to kind of get the groove of things. Like, you can see the kid in him, I guess is what I'm trying to say. He's still a child type stuff, you know? So it's like...
the battle ravages across the sky in a fight that...
Of course he can't be Omni-Man. Come on, dog. Like...
that feels like it perfectly captures the look of the pages and panels. Omni-Man goes into full deadbeat dad mode, and unlike the original work, he actually fights against humanity too. In the source material at this point, Cecil wasn't even a character, and the twist came completely out of nowhere. Humanity was unaware of what was going on, and the fight took place across the skies, much to their surprise. Yes, I'm a poet and I don't know it. Now, I love how Mark goes out of his way to save someone, and it shows the difference between him and his father. However, Nolan, being a man that comes from a cruel society of supremacists, kills the person Mark just saved. It shows how evil he is, and really ramps up why he must be stopped at all costs. The battle causes countless tragedies.
Obviously, my whole prediction of this is that the way it ends is in a weird way. This is a long video, so we're not going to watch this whole video. Essentially, there's so many spoilers in this that if you want to give this show a chance, I wouldn't recommend watching this at all. This is just a reaction that I wanted to do for this channel, being that I just literally finished this whole series, or the first season. Actually, I said the whole series. The first season yesterday. So I just kind of wanted to comment on it, let you guys know this is a show worth watching if you're into animation and superhero stuff. It's definitely, being that there's a whole season up, you can kind of binge it or get through it. But Mark, my whole prediction for the story is that eventually he gets stronger. I think there's something about him being half vulture, might half human, that's going to give him an edge over his dad. You know, maybe there's a certain power he has to harness. Because there's a certain scene within, I think episode 5 or 6, or like there's a spark within him. He gets so mad at some point, and I think it's when Adam Eve or something's about to get hurt. Dude goes into like a rage to where like temporarily he can't be stopped. You know what I mean? Like nobody can touch him. So maybe that's a power or a hidden thing he got to tap into in order to defeat his dad. But we know how episode 8 ends. But let's see what Dude got to really say. But
tragedies as it makes its way to a city, and some of these moments are pulled directly from the splash pages of issue 12. Mark keeps trying his best to save as many as he can, but Nolan constantly attempts to show his son how futile it all is. Feels like one of the best season finales I've seen in a long time, and ultimately shows Mark the cost of being a hero. Throughout the show we've discussed how he is very much half human and half Viltrumite. His mother and father represent the opposite sides of this, and season 1 as a whole has very much been about him attempting to be more than human. Amber very much highlighted this, and Mark had to decide whether to have a relationship with her or Adam Eve. It's not really in the show that much, but it is in the comics, trust me. Now these choices are echoed here, and Nolan constantly tries to hammer into his son that human life should be viewed as meaningless. The lines of dialogue here, such as, "Your mother means nothing to me," and "I'm telling you the truth for the first time in your life," are both in panels in the work, and I love how close they play it, all whilst adding extra bits. Now in the source material, we watch them crash into a subway station. However, the show adds something that means I'll never hear the phrase "run train" again and think of anything other than this. Well, maybe not, but we'll keep it PG-13. Now, whilst his dad is playing catch with him, Mark tries to hammer into his father that he has some good in him. In the comics, they very much discuss how Omni-Man is a slave to his culture.
So pretty much it's like the struggle between good and evil, essentially. It's like, you know, the breaking point in a relationship, and I guess where a kid got to grow up realizing that his life ain't what it is, his dad ain't who he is, And of course, the human side of him thinks in logic, whereas his dad's like a pure alien. You know what I'm saying? His dad don't think about the way humans do. So the show's interesting, man. I'm not gonna watch the whole video because it's too much spoilers, but it is trending. Didn't realize it was trending till this morning regarding, basically the Prime series. It's a good one to check out. It's a good one to watch. I recommend it, man. Of course, check out my trending playlist. I always do reactions like this to trending content. And it was just interesting enough that I had finished watching this series. But, season 1, Invincible, up on Prime Video at the moment, man. Like, comment, subscribe, man. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comment section below. I don't want. It's a spoiler video, but I don't know if I gave away too much necessarily. But check it out, man. 8 episodes. So we'll catch you guys in the next video.